Good morning or good evening, depending upon whichever part of the world you're in. Today, let us experience on Jhanas, from first Jhana to the eighth Jhana. There are 4 Jhanas relating to Rupa, and there are other 4 relating to Aruppa, and the 9th one is also Aruppa Jhana, wherein the mind becomes completely tranquil. This is called as Sanya Vedayita Nirodha. Sanya means perception, Vedana means feelings, Nirodha means cessation. So let's try to experience from the first jhana to the 8th jhana, and if that has worked very well, then we can move on to the 9th one. Before we start the jhanas, we need to set up a foundation by removing the impurities. So first let us set up the impurities in the heart, where all the senses are located. So we have the sense of sight, sense of sound, sense of touch, sense of taste, sense of smell, and sense of thoughts arising onto the projection in the mind. And based upon the inputs, what we are getting from the external world, the mind tries to pick it up. So let's first observe and acknowledge that we are consistently in search of these inputs. For that, let us first put the foundation of morality. So let's first cultivate within our minds to not to have immoral actions, immoral thoughts, and immoral speech, so that while we attain 1 to 8 jhanas, they don't interfere with us. So the first thing we are going to do is to establish the correct speech. I will utter it in Pali and explain that in English for those aspirants who would understand only English, and they can also do the same. Musavada Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. What this means, Musavada means lying. I am getting a thought to lie through the speech because there is something to be gained. If there was nothing at all to be gained, nobody had to tell any lies. So now I am establishing in the mind not to tell lies because there is nothing to be gained. Why? Because all that arises will pass away. Example, if we take our breath, it's arising and it is falling away. Now I come to the next one. Pisuna vacha veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami. Pisuna vacha means slandering. There is nothing to be gained in slandering against a person, considering that the breath does not stay even for a moment more, and the other person is also a breathing person, so there is no point. Harusa vacha veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami. Harusa vacha means harsh words. If I have to talk about or utter a harsh word, there's a lot of energy to be generated, and my breathing will become unstable. And if I see the other person also, he will also have the same effect. So I would not do it. Sampalapa veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami. This means empty blabber, talking something nonsense related to this world, and either we get attached or we get repelled by what we see, and arguing or getting hooked by it. It's of no use. So I will not entertain. Ramani is to entertain, Veramani is not to entertain. So right now I am established on speech. Now let me establish on the action. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami. Panatipata means taking life. We generally take life of others or other beings in the samsara because there is something profitable. If there was nothing to be gained, nobody would kill anything. So I'll abstain from killing because there is nothing to be gained. Adinnadana veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami. Adinnadana means stealing. If there is anything profitable, then there is stealing. Let's look out of breath again. As soon as there is in breath, out breath follows. And as many as we breathe in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year, those much of our life is gone. We cannot get back. Considering that, what's the point in stealing? So I will refrain from stealing, taking something which is not mine, either as a name and fame, either as a material object, either as a personality, or either as a person. I am refraining myself from doing this action. Kameshu michchāchāra veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyāmi. Kameshu michchāchāra means sensual misconduct. If all the senses were to come together, then the person's highest potential is sexual. So I'm refraining from the sensuality and sexuality both, because there is nothing to be gained again. Why? Because it doesn't stay for any longer than 2 to 5 minutes. That's the max. Or even if it stays for 10 to 15 minutes, that's the max. If I eat something, as soon as I finish eating, that's gone. If I see something, as soon as a particular action is seen, it's gone. If I were to hear something, as soon as something is heard for a short while, it's gone. If I touch something, as soon as I touch it, it's gone. As soon as I smell it, again the same effect. As soon as I think over, have the same effect. So it arises and passes away. That's the nature. So we'll abstain from sensuality, being overutilizing on the sensuality and overutilizing the sexuality. I'm abandoning this bad thoughts and bad action right now. I'm giving this up. Sura meraya majjapamaddhaṭṭhāna veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyāmi. Sura is intoxication through liquor. Meraya is intoxication through drugs and medication. Majja is intoxication through position and power and prestige of possessions. Pamada is intoxication through heedless thinking. Aditthana means determination. I am not going to have this kind of determination, which basically removes the energy. It's a waste of energy. Again, if I were to look at the breath, it arises and passes away. The name and the fame arises and passes away. If I am enjoying certain drugs and medication which gives me a particular kick, that also does not stay for long. It again passes away. Then if I am enjoying through liquor be it hard liquor or soft liquor, that intoxication doesn't stay for long, it again passes away. While of these passes away, it puts in a bad light because I don't get that effect again. So I'm abandoning this bad attitude in my mind so that I don't take any of these actions. So that concludes 4 on action. Then we are coming to 2 on the mind. Abhijja Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. Abhi-ichcha. Abhi means excessive. Ichcha means liking. Excessive liking to do certain things. More than what a person can do. That literally burns the mind. Creates all kind of impure tendencies. So I am abandoning right now. I really don't want to have an excessive liking to an extent of not able to give up. So let me give up that attitude. Let me give up that behavior which doesn't make any sense. Vyapada Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. Vyapada means, pada is to walk, Vya means to get down, low. So do actions which are very low in nature. It can be anger, it can be jealousy, it can be envy, it can be feeling resentment, it can be frustration, it can be any one of these which will take us to the lowest of our mind because of insecurity. However we have, we're not happy about it. So I'm abandoning that as well. If I've done that much, then I have established myself on the speech, on the action, on the mind, till the end of the Jhanas, to have a proper and an appropriate mind which can experience these Rupa Jhanas and Aruppa Jhanas. So let's first start in setting up the body, setting up the mind, to understand what the consciousness is all about and how they arise and how they perish through the paticca samutpada or dependent origination. And that helps us to establish into the first jhana. So let's first observe the breath. We'll see the anicca nature in that, the dukkha nature in that, and the anatta nature in that. What is the meaning of anicca? That which arises will pass away. And also, it keeps on diminishing breath to breath. The previous breath is gone, the new breath comes in. The previous breath is dead, the new breath comes into light. Again, that goes away, it's again death. Another breath comes in. Like that, we keep on breathing moment to moment. And our candle keeps on burning down and down and down till it completely gets exhausted. So we start with the first breath. when we come outside the body from the mother's womb, and then the last breath happens when the consciousness were to depart from the body. And that's what we are trying to see between these breaths. So there is this anicca nature. It arises and passes away. And that is the dukkha, because there is a fear of this breath stopping at any point in time, for which there is no control on anything at all. We cannot control. You cannot put a guard there to ensure that the breath doesn't happen. The heartbeat doesn't happen. As long as we are alive, we are considered alive. Its heart is going to beat. The blood is going to be circulating. Nothing can be done, and that is anatta. That is essenceless in trying to control something which cannot be controlled. So this is the foundation of nature, and nature is anicca, dukkha and anatta. That is everything we see around us and within us. There is an arising and passing of every given thing. There is this fear which is embedded into us because of arising and passing away. And the third one is we don't have any control. And trying to establish a control on something where we don't have a control is anatta, or essenceless. So now let's start with the breath. Let's watch the breath to see whether it is deep or is it shallow. As you see the in-breath, watch whether it is shallow or deep. Don't do anything about it. Just watch the anicca nature in that. It has arisen even before we know it has departed. So basically, that's what we can see in everything. Slowly you can bring your consciousness onto the whole body. As soon as there is an arising, there is a passing away. You can feel the breath throughout the body, from the head to the toe. You can also observe throbbing because of the heartbeat. It's throughout the body. Throbbing is very rhythmic. It is uniform across the body. Observe your breath for 2 minutes. Just observe how the body is. It's called as kaya. It means collection. There's so many of organs which are placed in a combination, and they are connected, for which there is an arising and there is passing away. If something is going wrong, then there is pain. If nothing is going wrong, then there is neutral feeling. But if the senses become operational, then there is a pleasure feeling. And losing that is a painful feeling. Just watch the body arising and passing away for 2 minutes. If you are feeling some kind of vibration, that's very good. Just watch the vibration. If you are feeling a sense of happiness, a sense of calmness, it's very good. Just be with it. Now that we've established it to a serene state of mind, we are now ready to embark our journey through Etan Santan Etan Panitan, and then get into all the 8 jhanas one by one. Etan Santan Etan Panitan, Yadidam Sabba Sankhara Samatho Sabupadi Pati Nisaggo Tanahakhayo Virago Nirodho Nibbānanti. Etan Santan Etan Panitan, Yadidam Sabba Sankhara Samatho Sabupadi nissago tanahakhayo virago nirodho nibbananti. Etan Santan Etan Panitan Yadidam Sabba Sankhara Samatho Sabupadi Pati nissago tanahakhayo virago nirodho nibbananti. Etan Santan Etan Panitan Yadidam Sabba Sankhara Samatho Sabupadi Pati nissago tanahakhayo virago nirodho nibbananti. Etan Santan Etan Panitan Yadidam Sabba Sankhara Samatho Sabupadi Pati nissago tanahakhayo virago nirodho nibbananti. Etan Santan Etan Panitan Yadidam Sabba Sankhara Samatho Sabupadi Pati nissago tanahakhayo virago nirodho nibbananti. Etan Santan Etan Panitan Yadidam Sabba Sankhara Samatho Sabupadi Adipati Nisargo Tanahakayo Virago Nirodho Nibbananti. What we have done now is to establish 7 times Etan Santan Etan Panitan. Right now, if we see our mind, it's reverberating whatever Etan Santan Etan Panitan is. To make this much effective, let us recite in our mind 7 times in 2 minutes. Mentally utter Etan Santan Etan Panitan. Now that we have established 7 times in the mind what we just now did of recitation and mentally verbation, is to cut the mundane thoughts which arise in the mind with this one. So it's called as vitakka, is to deliberate, and vichara is to ponder. In every mundane things we do, we deliberate to do something and we ponder on how to do it. Similarly, we establish right now on the supramundane level. So basically we have replaced the mundane with the supramundane. We are transcending it. So we replace the vitakka with savitakka, sustained thoughts, sustained deliberation. Savichara instead of vichara, that is sustained pondering. The 7 times what we did in the mind, we pondered over it, what we recited. Now that Etan Santan Etan Panitan is established properly, we are now ready to enter into the Jhanas. What are we supposed to do? To get into the jhana, how do one enter into the first jhana? He now, that is this person, has determined that the kama, sensuality, akusala dhamma, akusala is immoral acts, immoral thoughts, immoral action, immoral speech, is now eliminated for right now as we enter into the jhana. We also deliberated and pondered savitakka and savichara. Now we have discriminated good and bad. Now we are in the first jhana because we are having piti and sukha. Piti is joy. You can watch this joy. The body is so peaceful. But along with that, we need to do something to make it really sustainable. Is to understand what is this Etan Santan Etan Panitan in depth. Etan Santan. This is peaceful. The question comes, how does one become peaceful? So this is made up of two words, sa and anta. Anta is ending, sa is self. If one is rid of the self view, it's hurting myself, they are causing injury to me, I am doing this, I am doing that. If one were to come out of this, his mind would not attach to this at all. So the question comes, how does one get established in it? So we need to see the anicca nature, or arising and passing away, in the five aggregates. Now let us go and understand what these five aggregates are. Rupagatam, Vedanagatam, Sanyagatam, Sankhāragatam, Vijñānagatam. Rupa is the form. Vedana is the feeling. Sanya is the perception. Sankharas are the preparation. Vijnana is the consciousness. Now if we watch from, say, age of 5 to now, all the frames are just frames. Whatever I called as myself, whatever the feeling of myself, whatever the perception of myself, whatever the preparation I did as myself, and how the consciousness brought everything together, is just a heap of frames, like that of a photographic impressions. In fact, if we had a set of photographs right from this time we have taken birth, like a burst of photographs, burst of images, and if we were to join all of them together, we would create a motion picture of the body growing from the birth till today. That is the Rupa. And also another Rupa, what we have created is the designations, what has been given to us. In every year, we are roughly called as something. Let's say for the first year, the body is fragile, it's called as infant. Then it's called as a child. Then it's called as a boy or a girl. Then it is called as a student. And it's called as a teenager. Then called as a man and a woman. Or rather an adult. Then there is something called marriage. And something called courtship. So we have defined so many ways. Then we designate this person as husband and wife. So all these are mental rupas. So one is the physical and another one is mental. So for every physical there is a mental rupa created. And once we are designated with name, then there is feeling associated with that name. Then there is perception that they are calling my name. Then I also have perception through the mind that they are designating me this or that. So I remember whenever I am called as a husband, so I know they are talking about me. Whenever they talk about the person whom I am married as wife, then I know they are designated that person as my wife. So there is a combination now. I own this wife and she owns me as a husband. Then the child, and so on. So these leads to different kind of dimensions in the mind, which is so untrue but created as truth. And this is what I call as myself. This forms the feeling, the perception what I got, the preparation what I'm doing as an infant, the preparation what I'm doing as a child, the preparation what I'm going to do as a boy, and then a teenager, as an adult, as a married person, and so on. All that is what the consciousness ties everything together, just like a burst of images taken from a high proficient camera. It can take millions of images every second, and when joined together gives that motion. That's what it is. So if I deeply investigate, there is no I in that at all. It just packaged of frames, frame by frame by frame. Experiencing this is profound, because this is what the consciousness does as a magician, to bring all the experience together to the mind. And the mind attaches to this feeling and sees that it is itself which is enjoying, it is itself which is suffering. Etan Santan Etan Panitan. Panitan means profound, Santan means peaceful, due to understanding, ending of self. So if I were to understand, these are photographic images, millions of frames per second, then do you think I get attached to it? Then the next line. Yadidam, yadi idam. When this sankhara. Now let's understand what is this sankhara. Khara is to do something, and sang is to ponder over what to do and prepare for it. So it will have a desire to do something, considering it is profitable to do it. Then if it doesn't work, then we have an aversion aspect already into that desire, and not knowing that the desire and aversion is called as delusion. We're deluded to believe that the preparation is what I need to keep on doing all the time and set a value. So created society which will set values to each individual and expects them to perform certain actions like a drama, doing one or the other, either called it as an infant doing something or a child doing something, the boy or a girl doing something, the teenager doing something, and an adult doing something, and the married person doing something, and then the old person doing something. And so something and you do, there is a reward and there is a punishment. Our brains are tuned in that way. There is a chemical called dopamine, which we are interested in enjoying all the time. So the brain has a tendency to pick up these receptors in the neurons and have this reward. And every reward has some punishment if not happening. So we are always in reward and punishment. And that is how we set value. And what is this value? It is number, sankhya. Number. So sankhara also has a numbering system or a creation of a value system. So the individual is set to believe that there is a value in doing something which is literally no value. So to create a value, first and foremost, this person has to be conditioned to believe that this is how it is going to be. So from the young age, the conditioning starts. And the conditioning takes forward into comparison between A and B, not realizing that A is also a burst of movie frames per second, millions of them. And B also is a frame of millions of frames per second. Instead, there is a designation of the name, and the person believes that he should now be compared between his past action with another person of his or her past action. So he prepares to do the same action what the other person has done. So the compulsions give rise to comparison, and the comparison gave rise to competition. And competition, comparison, and compulsion creates compromise. So throughout life, from birth till the death, that is the womb to the tomb, the person only does this, creating a value system so that there is comparison. Because there is compulsion. And why there is compulsion? Because there is conditioning. So first we condition, then we compulsively make that to be true when it is not true. Then we compare the states between the previous state and the next state so that we can project the future. And because of that we compete and then ends up in a compromise. So there is unhappiness the moment there is compromise. Then again the person is compelled to do something because of conditioning, and this cycle goes on. So how do we end this? Is to treat without value. No numbering system in the mind, even though the outside world believes in numbering system. No conditioning in the mind, even though the outside world believes in conditioning. No compulsion in the mind, even though the world believes in compulsion. No comparison in the mind, even though the world believes in comparison. And no competition in the mind, even though the world believes in competition and calls it as, within quotation, healthy competition, when there is nothing healthy about anything at all. And finally, no compromise with oneself in the mind, because the I does not exist. So sabba sankhara samatho, sabbupadi patinisaggo. Sabba means all, upadi means producing. How do we produce something? We take the Patavi, Apo, Vayu, Tejo, earth element, which is hard and soft, water, liquid element, which is flowing and bonding, the air element, which is moving, the fire element, which is heat and cold, and then there is Varna, color, Rasa, which is taste, tactile, Gandha, smell, Oja, nutrients. This is called as Rupa. A combination of them makes one feel something, and that feeling is the Nama. So we have 5 of them in Nama. We have Vedana, feeling, Sanya, perception, Chetana, intention, Phassa, it is contact, Manasikara, attention. So this attention is the thumb, and the remaining 4, the small finger, is the Vedana. Next to that small finger is Sanya. That next to the small, that next to that finger is the Chetana, and the index finger is the Phassa. So if we were to see it, if we have ayoniso manasikara, that is without proper attention, the fermentation which comes out from the mind will start ruining the mind, because we are associating with something without knowing what we are associating with. Because of the feeling, the wrong feeling what is generated, the wrong perception it is generating, the wrong intention, the wrong contact, and the wrong attention. If we take the yoniso manasikara, that is directed attention, then we'll not be doing that at all. So sabupadi means everything we have done from our birth till now is to accumulate something or the other and call it by some name. Like if I'm in a kindergarten school, I have collected some merits. Now if I'm in my 10th grade, nobody really bothers about those grades, nor the merit certificates what I have, or the gold medal or this medal what I have. If I'm in my 40s, I don't even care about the graduation ceremony I had and how many gold medals I got from the university. All that I'm bothered now is the job what I'm doing and the recession what is having and all of that. So if you see, all these are upadi, which is producing. So we produce something out of these 5 elements. The gold medal, the medal is the name, the gold is the form. Certificate is a paper. The paper is coming from the wood, but we call it as a certificate. Can anybody show how a certificate looks? We will be zapped, because there's nothing called as a certificate. So we name something and we make a form out of that something. Just like I'm named and my body is consistently changing and nothing can be done except for redesignating it as a middle-aged person or an adult and old-age person and dead person. So the individuality is gone. So sabbupadi pati nissago. Pati is to bond and nissago is to disengage. Actually, if we were to disengage ourselves from the name and the form, right now, right there, the mind goes into real calmness. Once that is established, tanha khayo, tanha is craving. Why am I craving? Because there is some profit. Why there is profit? Because the mind feels profitable. So if I were to see the sankharas, which I explained earlier, and this upadi producing to real, meaning as it is, yatha bhuta, that is as it is, then their craving is ended. Tanha khayo, tanha is diminishing, virago, because when tanha or the craving doesn't exist, the raga, the lust cannot. Only if there is craving, the lust is there. Virago. Nirodho. Now I can see the truth. Because of this consciousness arising and passing away, along with these feelings, perceptions, I am doing something or the other. So I just sit and observe the truth. Then it becomes nirodho. Nir plus uddha. Nir means to cut and uddha is to arise. So there is no arising anymore. If these three things are not there, then I am instantly nibbana. So the first jhana is to establish this. Now you can see what the piti means. That is the joy of finding the truth. Just observe your whole body, how you are feeling. Observe your mind of knowing the truth. Be there and see it. Also, if we were to observe these, we have many ways of looking at what these five aggregates are going to do. Number one, it is aniccato, that is arises and passes away. Because they arise and pass away from the birth till now, they cause fear. Moment by moment, the life is going away. Nothing can be done. It's almost 1 hour 10 minutes of my talk here, but then I cannot go back to the starting position. Not possible. I cannot go to yesterday and day before and that day before. No matter what feeling was there, what rupas were there or the forms were there and what perceptions were there, what preparation I have been doing and what's the level of consciousness at that time on each one of these. I can only build it in my memory system, nothing else. So the memory system is picked up by this consciousness and brought together to the mind. The frames are picked up by the consciousness. So there's dukkhato. Then there's rogato, disease oriented. This body, what we are eating food, is always disease oriented. What is the disease here? Feeling hungry every 4 hours is a disease. If you don't give food, what happens? Every few hours you have to give water. If there is no water, what happens? Just think. As I'm speaking, I need to be drinking water, otherwise it gets dehydrated. And then every few minutes it sweats. Every few hours we have to go for urination. You got to go for toilet, defacing. Now let's say somebody blocks this person from doing all the four. Immediately the disease comes over. That's called disease. Gandhato, it's like a boil, a wound, deep wound. Just not having something removes the skin off, and deep under the skin is all kind of wounds ready to sprout out, ready to devour that being. And we can call it as a body pain, body ache, burning sensation, to severe pricking sensation, to all kind of sensation which can come out due to either heat or cold, due to wind, due to hunger, due to thirst, due to mosquito bites, due to creepers, due to snake bites, due to dog bites, you name it, we can feel it. So we are always in fear. Sandato, it's an arrow, and it hits to the place where it pains the most. So again, this Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankhara Vijnana is like that. Aghato, deep anguish. This brings in deep anguish all the time. Abhadito, which can create multitude of diseases, both mental kind and the physical kind. Parato, alien, not mine. It creates sensations which are so alien, yet I have to endure those pains in search of pleasure. We call it as no pain, no gain. Right from hitting a gymnasium to going for work or doing this or maintaining the relationship between the children and the wife or the husband and neighbors and all that, it is such a problem moment to moment. Parato. Palokato, disintegrating. This body is disintegrating moment to moment. The ideas are disintegrating moment to moment. No organization is happy with the product. No market is happy. One day the profit is there, another day profit is not there. So it's disintegration. Shunyato, after doing all of this, what do we find from the childhood till today? All the efforts and all the tribulations, all the fun, all the happiness and all that is in the memory. Nobody can reproduce anything out of it. So shunya, emptiness. Anatto, essenceless. So without consciousness, we can see Chakkum Anatta, Rupam Anatta. Chakku is the eye which gets created in the heart once the Rupa is seen. So the external eye now gets a stimulus through the consciousness. If there was no consciousness at all, they cannot meet. Like that, Sota Anatta. Sota is the ear, inner ear. Shabda Anatta, that is the sound. They are essenceless without consciousness. So like that, all the six of them. Ghana, Gandha, nose and the smell. Jiva, Rasa, the tongue and the tactile sensations. Kaya and Pottabha. Kaya is the the collection, which is the body, and Pottabha is the touch. And then Mano and Dhamma. Mana is the mind like a screen, and the Dhamma is like a movie frames coming there moment by moment, which we call it as thought. So they are anatta. So if we were to establish this, we are in the first jhana. Then we give up that. Now the asavas, the fermentations, are reduced. What are these fermentations? We have kamasava. Kama is the sensuality. Bhavasava, to become something. Ditthiyasava, of views. And avidya-asava, of ignorance. Ignorance of what? Ignorance of these five aggregates. Ignorance of the dukkha, or the suffering. And all the other things what we looked into. So because we are getting into that, we are now getting rid of the vitakka and vichara, and only established in the sukha. So what happens at the second jhana? You're able to see the joy fading away and a real sukha being there, the happiness being there. Then let's get established on the third jhana. Now let's look at the body. It's calm. Also it is equanimous. Now Anicca Dukkha Anatta is very well established. And we are now in the Ariya, A plus Riya. Ri is to circle, Ariya is not to circle, between thisness and otherwiseness. So the body and the mind is equanimous to everything right now. And that is the reason we are in the third jhana. We're having complete equanimity. Look at your breath. It's become so deep. You can hardly feel the breath. Now let's come out of this peaceful state and enter into the fourth Rupa Jhana, wherein we are coming out of the Sukha and the Dukkha, pole of opposites. So manasa do manasa, that is mental feeling happy and mentally feeling unhappy. Now we are in total tranquility. If you have established this far, your breath will going to stop. When I say stopping, it doesn't mean that there is no breath at all. That also will happen. But it is so deep, you cannot feel anything at all. You are now equanimous to the throbbing. You are equanimous to all sensations. because there are no expectations either on the speech or on the body or on the mind. The breath becomes very calm. Becomes very deep. After staying in the fourth jhana, I think now we are ready to embark our journey into Aruppa jhana. Now, how do we enter into the fifth or the first Aruppa jhana? Now, with this equanimity, being established, we don't have any patigha. Patigha means strike through. So there's no aversion right now on anything. And on the Rupa we have equanimity established. And we are ready to embark our journey on the formless state. Now we are filled with space. There's nothing but the space. There is no feeling of the body anymore. It's expansion of space. Akasha. Space. The mind is freely floating. It's endless floating. Most happy state than the fourth jhana, which was form. Are you able to experience this? A beautiful expansion. There is no heaviness. There is nothing to feel in the mind as heavy. It's so light. I'm not able to see any difference in terms of non-expansion and expansion. The light feeling is making me float. There's nothing to feel as the body. I see it like a disease-ridden due to this heaviness which I was carrying all along. It was just arising and passing away, always with dukkha, always that which cannot be controlled. Now all that seems to be gone. In this infinite space, now let's go to the infinite consciousness. If I have seen the Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana, which is designated as I, and due to the infinite space, now I'm able to see all the beings just as consciousness. And because of this consciousness alone, a being comes to be, a being is said to be born, and because of the consciousness, the being is said to be growing, a being is said to be decaying, and the being is said to be dead. It's just designations. Nothing else other than this can be said. So this is called as infinite consciousness. Right now, I'm able to establish only till here, since I'm consistently speaking. I'm not able to move to the next level. I apologize for not able to enter into the third Aruppa Jhana. So I would like to end with the two Aruppa Jhanas and the four Rupa Jhanas. If you can try hard from here, the next level you're going to reach the state of nothingness, where all the things drop off. There is nothing that is felt. There is nothing that is perceived. It seems like nothing was there. It was only the labels which were there, and nothing else. Right now, I am not able to do that because the sankharas are happening inside me as I talk, and it is not able to establish me into that. And if I try to continue, it's like faking it, which I don't want to do it. I hope I have given you the information on how to enter into these jhanas. One by one. The difference between Arya Jhana and Anarya Jhana, that is the normal path and the noble path, is that in the noble path we go by the understanding of the Anicca Dukkha Anatta. That is arising and passing away of everything moment to moment. And there is fear in losing what we have moment to moment. And nothing that can be controlled no matter what one does. And he cannot create an identity that I did it or he did it, because all are suffering the same. The normal one can still get into all the 8 jhanas by observing the breath. But what we are doing here is to investigate deeper about each one of these rising and passing away of the conditions, rising and passing away of whatever is happening through the paticca samutpada cycle of the dependent origination, because one is dependent on the other and we can see it. So the mental fabrications can be seen and can be removed. With this small conclusion, I would like to end today's session, and I again thank you for being there and watching it. And I'll try to do another one later about the 7th and the 8th and the 9th, after I figure out how to enter into jhana on 7, 8, 9 while I'm still speaking. Thank you so much.